News Radio 1400, KTEM and K1017 bringing you Temple Wildcats football presented by Scott & White Healthcare. Our pregame show brought to you by the French Quarter on 3rd Street. And, it seems like our sponsor list gets longer and longer each week. I'm Jamie Garrett here with head coach Mike Spradlin. And, of course, everybody's excited, wanting to jump on that Temple bandwagon again. Here it comes. Temple Wildcats headed into the postseason for the second consecutive year. And really, Coach, I've been doing this, not quite as long as a lot of people, Gene included, yourself included, but you don't see many district titles come down to the final game of the season between two undefeated teams very often.
You don't, Jamie, and kind of back to what you started with, it's what makes Temple special. I had an opportunity, 4 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago to come here and have an opportunity to be blessed to be the coach here, and it is what makes Temple special. There's a great history and a great tradition, and of course we're trying to be relevant in today's world, and our kids have done a great job of that. So I want to compliment our fans and our town for the support they give us. You're right. I mean, here we are. We're both 5-0 in district and well deserved. I mean, this is the best team we've seen in our district race. There's no question about it. We hope we're the best one they've seen. I mean, that's the way it works. And there's a go football on the line. We've talked to our kids about that. We've talked to them about the fact that realistically this is championship season. I mean, you've got a district championship on the line tonight. You've got a by-district championship on the line next Friday night area, the whole 9 yards. So I think it's a great focus game for us and a great opportunity to do something special against a real good football team.
And certainly you want that district title. You want to go through the district schedule undefeated. But looking at the fact that you will play next Friday night, I think it's a good, they have a grand opening and a soft opening for a business. I think this is a good soft opening to the playoffs in a sense because there's a championship on the line, but it's not the championship you want. You want the big one that comes after this, and the real deal begins the following week.
Well, Jamie, and football's an interesting game. It really is all about, what you've done lately, not what you did. And so tonight's a big night for us. It's a momentum night and all those things, but certainly, you're correct in that, when you look at it and you realize that, this is just, it kind of relaxes you almost a little bit. I'm kind of excited about that fact that I think our guys are really ready to play. I think they're kind of geeked up about it. I think we had an opportunity a year ago to do the same thing against Killeen High, and that's, win and sharing a district championship with a win there. So we kind of got the same thing going on tonight. And I think, the fact that some things are settled and all those things isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, at the same time, our focus has to be for whatever this 3 hours is, it's 48 minutes of football time tonight. And I think we really are focused on that. And looking at the possible return of Quinton Smith, you mentioned Tuesday that you'd kind of bring him back slow. What's your realistic expectation for his return tonight? Well, I mean, Quinton, I have every realistic expectation Quinton's going to play tonight. I know whether or not he starts or not will be up to Coach Stewart and his staff, and how much playing time he gets tonight will be up, to that. I mean, we don't foresee that Quinton's going to play the entire game. I mean, he's been out now for 4 weeks, but it is really, really good to get Quinton in now, before we go into playoff season, into our third season, so to speak. And so we're excited about the fact of getting him back on the field and getting him some playing time.
Now, we're a little over 15 minutes away from kickoff time here. Has a decision been made with Chad President yet on his playing time tonight?
Well, I think the best way, I've tried to spin this every way I can possibly spin it, Jamie, and of course people have kind of grinded me on it. And the answer is I'm not being evasive, and I'm not trying to be secretive about anything. Chad's got an injury. He's had a very good week. And I think right now my thoughts are that Chad's available. I think, we'll probably look at starting Cole tonight, but we know Chad's available and Chad's ready, and that's a good thing too. I mean, Cole's got the majority of the reps, and so we're really doing that more from that standpoint than anything else. I think Chad, if you ask Chad wants to play, and we'll just kind of let the game take a mind of its own and see where it's going. We're not looking at it from a standpoint of sitting him just because we're, already got a playoff berth. I mean, he really, he's sustained an injury. He's done an extremely good job of rehabbing that injury, and he appears to be in very good health right now. And so I think at this point, you do that just like you do Quinton Smith, for example. You evaluate it, and you look at it, and you make sure you take care of that athlete. That's our job.
And Cole Martin certainly has had quite a bit of playing time this year. He's I think you said 6 total quarters of playing time this year, and that'll go a long way. And let Elgin sneak up on the line and try to stop that run a little bit. And Cole's got an arm, and he's got the wherewithal to put that ball in the hands of guys on the outside that can make plays.
We do have a lot of confidence in Cole, Jamie, and Cole has gotten some quality reps this season, and it kind of is, when I look back on that, it's really a big deal. I think that he's had that opportunity. It's one of those things right now where I feel like going into this game, it's the right thing to do at this point for Chad, for our football team, and for the future. So we'll just let the game take a mind of its own. We'll see what happens. We'll go from there. But I know Chad is available for us if we choose to do that. And at the same time, I have a lot of confidence in Cole's ability. And of course, it'll come down to blocking and tackling and all those things that it always does.
On the Elgin Wildcats visiting Wildcat Stadium to take on the Temple Wildcats. So a battle of the Wildcats tonight. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back here. We'll talk about some X's and O's as far as what Elgin has been able to do since a 1-3 start to remain undefeated in the district. We'll do that right after this. You're listening to Temple Wildcats football on KTEM and K1017. You're listening to Temple Wildcats football on KTEM and K1017, presented by Scott & White Healthcare. The pregame show brought to you by the French Quarter on North 3rd in Temple. Stop in from lunchtime through about 8 o'clock, Monday through Friday. See Dan and Cindy in there. Jamie Garrett's here with head coach Mike Spradlin. And looking at the Elgin Wildcats, they come in undefeated. This is for the district title tonight in District 17 5A. You both know that you'll be playing next week, but you both want that district title, obviously. What has Elgin been able to do since that 1-3 start to go undefeated through what the Wildcats have found have been a pretty tough district?
Well, Jamie, I mean, Coach Garfield obviously adheres to a similar philosophy that we do, and that is that, quality non-district opponents, create help you be a better football team. And they played, their 3 losses came against teams that have been ranked teams. I mean, I read in the paper, Greg Willie, but 27-9, those 3 teams. So, and then we've watched them because Coach Garfield is new to Elgin. They get better and better and better. They're unorthodox offensively, and so that puts some pressure on our defense. It does. There's no question about it. They run a system and a scheme that's different from anything our kids have seen. It's a lot of for some of our older fans out there, it's some single wing type stuff, direct snaps and spinners and all those things. So we've got to be disciplined and do a good job of tackling. And they're very, very quick and aggressive defensively. Their whole theme by both their units is pressure, and they try to put some pressure on you, and they try to do that through some blitz games and things like that. So, Jamie, we've got our hands full. I mean, it's a big, fun football game, by the way, that, quite frankly, doesn't have any implications past this on what we set out to do this year, but, however, has a huge implication tonight on one of our goals, and that was to be a district champion.
And one of the things that they've been able to do out of that single wing offense is put 19 touchdowns on the board through just Jordan Smith, one of their backs. So he's obviously a big play threat, while the Temple Wildcats, I believe, have only given up 1 play in excess of 50 yards this year, and I think that was 51 yards. So a team that doesn't give up the big play on defense versus a team that does have big play ability, you certainly hope that breaks on your side.
Well, you do, Jamie, and he is a very elusive, fast, very good running back, and he's a guy we have to stop. The Snell kid at quarterback, number 7, is also a young man he's tall, he throws the ball well. His brother Colin is a receiver and an outside backer for him, and both those guys are big, tall targets, and so we've got to play good, sound, fundamental football. Got to tackle well. I keep using that word fundamental tonight, but it really is what it comes down to. It's about being aggressive and matching their aggressiveness with our aggressiveness and physicality and continue to play and do things right.
And defensively, just 1 interception back from the district lead in that category as a team. So they certainly appear to have some players in the defensive backfield that are ball hawks and go up and get it.
Well, they do. And like I said, defensively, their scheme is a pressure type scheme, and they're going to, we run the ball pretty well. So we perceive that they're going to pack the box a little bit on us. We've got to be prepared to get the ball, in the air and down the field. And that'll be some things we'll work on and do. I'll be honest with you with things in we're not going to go into this game, with belt and suspenders on. I mean, we're going to lay it out there a little bit and be aggressive in the kicking game, be aggressive on offense and defense, and create an atmosphere, we think, of pressure ourselves. We think we can do the same thing. And so I think it's going to be whoever, can match that intensity is going to be the key. And they'll be an intense group. I had a chance to go see them, scouted them last Friday night because we were off, and seeing them in person is always a good thing. And they're an aggressive, high energy group. We've got to match that aggressiveness and that passion.
And certainly, reading between the lines of some of the things you said about the aggressiveness tonight, sounds like it could be a fun night out there. Some things that we might not have seen up until this point in time. You've been able to win games without throwing the whole playbook out there, without any kind of trick or anything like that. You've just come out and been consistent. And that certainly leaves a lot of possibilities that teams don't have down on film.
Well, I think consistency has always been a key for me, Jamie, and I think also at the same time, I don't want to be conservative either. I mean, I think it's time for us to let it go a little bit. I think we've got to do that going into the playoffs. I think we've got to be an aggressive football team. We can't necessarily hold our cards close to the vest here, which is what I'm really suggesting with the Chad starting thing. We're not doing that because we already got a playoff spot locked up. We're doing it because we believe right now it's in Chad's best interest. Our football team will be fine, but our goal tonight is, we're going to try to let it go a little bit and be aggressive. And I know Scott's going to do some of the same things on defense. We're excited about what's going on here and an opportunity, for our seniors that their last home game, basically, theoretically, we could wind up with with a home playoff game at some point, but we don't have one next week. We know that. So it's a fun night at Wildcat. Cool night. What a great night for football. We finally got to fall, and we're excited about playing.
You got me convinced. We are less than 10 minutes away from kickoff, so hang tight. We have got more of the pregame show coming up. My thanks to head coach Mike Spradlin. Best of luck tonight. We'll talk Tuesday heading into the playoffs. Absolutely. Coming up here in just a couple of minutes on KTEM and K1017.